Itzhak Beery is a shamanic healer, teacher, and author who trained primarily in the Ecuadorian and Brazilian Amazonian traditions. He has been practicing for more than 20 years. Welcome, Itzhak.
Wonderful to be here with you.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you. I'm so super excited about the shamanic tradition, and I read your book, and it was really, it's a really entertaining read. Like, it's surprisingly entertaining. I don't know what I had thought about what I thought I would find in the book, but what I found was a whole collection of your stories. So it's such a great read. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into this shamanic practice.
I want to tell you about the book first because
Okay.
I'm reading a lot. I'm reading a lot of shamanic books, and what I found out is that many people who write books, they are trying to explain shamanism in such an academic way, or in a way that is so, it makes it almost not friendly or unbelievable that each person can be a shaman. And so the purpose of that book was really to tell my story as a as a person who never really believed in that, and very skeptic, and fell into these experiences, mostly because I thought that we all are shamans and we all have these experiences. So I grew up in Kibbutz Beit Alpha in Israel many years ago, and it was a secular kibbutz, communist, a place where religion was not supposed to be celebrated. And I learned to be very skeptic of all these experiences. And despite of them, despite of my belief system, I kind of fell into acknowledging that these experiences are true, or I experiencing them, and I could not deny them. And I started to write this book because of a friend of mine who is a great reader, who told me that he sees books around me, and I protested it. I said, no, that's not impossible. That's not possible. I'm Israeli. My English is not my first language, and I think in Hebrew. I mean, I gave him all the excuses, but somehow I believe that there are some spirit or some like unseen hand that guide us through our life to experience what we need to experience. And for many years now, I work with a lot about evil spirit work and good and evil spirit and extractions and all of that. And it turned out to be that 3 years ago I found out that my great-grandfather was a Kabbalistic rabbi, and he was a healer, and his main work was about the good and evil spirit. And it's almost like I could not take credit for what I'd done, because I'm almost like led to this kind of work through his spirit or through his soul. And so the way I started is I was early in my middle life crisis. I started a little early, and I was already married with 3 kids, and I had an advertising agency. We won awards, and I had an art career. I really felt like I kind of like did it. And what next? I wasn't sure. I thought that the world for me is basically over. I've done it, time to go. And I asked myself, like many people at that time, is that all? Must be something else. And for quite a few years I was struggling with that, until I went to Hawaii. I bought a book by Hank Russelman, Spirit Walker, which described the same kind of feeling that I had, or the thought that I had. And I felt it must be something that I need to look at. And there was a workshop there, a description of the workshop by Michael Harner. So I went and I took this workshop. Everything happened by coincidence. And then I was blown away by these visions that I had. And not just the vision, but how it related to the people I do the journeys for, same journey that we did before. And I could not deny it. I said, there must be something there that I don't know. And I didn't know that time that this is where I'm going to be. For me, it was just like a...
So you had some sort of a little bit of a midlife crisis, and you sort of reached out and read different books, and from that you started to have some experiences.
Yes.
And those experiences sort of led you further down the shamanic.
Exactly.
The shamanic trail.
Yes, and I truly believe...
The shamanic journey.
Shamanic journey. It is my shamanic journey. So I truly believe that we have a path that each of us go.
Are you saying that you believe that we're sort of preordained to have a particular path?
Pretty much.
Oh. Huh. So you feel like one way or the other you're going to end up on the shamanic path? One way or the other, whether it was now or later, or eventually you were going to end up on the shamanic path?
Well, I don't know about shamanic, but I think that what shamans do is they are working with communities, they're working with healings, and they're working with spirit. So I'm not sure that, you know, I could have been the same if in a different community, a different time. I could be a Kabbalistic rabbi healer and working with...
Right. So what you're saying is so much the specificity of being a shaman as much as it is just sort of being of a certain spiritual path.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yes. So I personally believe in life purpose. And I think that what I was looking at that time of a midlife crisis is really, what is my life purpose? Why I'm here? And so I think that I found what it is, because it really makes me fulfill and happy, and I'm happy to wake up every morning and do this work. I feel like I am fulfilling what I did, and I think that really a very important part of the shamanic work.
But you didn't feel that way before?
No.
You didn't feel like you were fulfilling?
No.
You were just going about business or whatever?
I was going through life. And it wasn't like I was not incredibly excited about creating artwork. But there was a point where it was not enough for me. It wasn't about winning advertising award, but I just asked, so what's next?
Why is that? Because you felt like, did you feel empty, or you felt like it's been there, done that, or
yes,
been there, done that?
But I think that the one element was missing for me. It was the idea of maybe the healing part.
Is it? I mean, by healing, do you mean, is it the actual healing, or is it the helping? Do you know what I mean? Do you see?
Well, I'm not helping. I'm supporting.
But I mean, you're sort of. I mean, maybe not direct, but I just mean like there's an aspect of maybe your past that wasn't helping people or being able to.
Exactly.
And then this is that.
Yes.
That's a thing of being.
I think that it's combining the visions of being an artist, the community or messaging of the advertising, but I didn't feel that there was really make any impact in the world, and the helping part, or what we call helping, it's a word that I don't really like to use, but that part of the healing part was missing. So I think that all of those things are really now manifesting in the shamanic work. But I think that it's just not just me. You know, each person has his own life purpose. You know, not everybody has to do what I think, but I think that everybody have the qualities that we call shamanic qualities, the ability to see. And we all have dreams, we all have deja vus, we all have a feeling when the phone will ring and Aunt Tilly will be there. We all have all these experiences, and most of the time we dismiss them. But those are really signs, so those are calling from spirit to take you on your way, on the way that you came here to fulfill your life purpose. And I think that that is why it's so important for people to pay attention to their dreams, feelings, intuition, past life, holograms, visions, seeing the whole, what we call seeing, or what we call the unseen world is speaking to us all the time. And if we talk about the unseen world is not a thin air, in my experience. It's full of life, and it's full of spirit life of our ancestors. It's full of life from spirit of nature. And by connecting to those spirit, we can be fully integrated as human beings. What happened in our culture now is that we don't trust those unseen world. We want to trust our flat screens, the iPhones and the tablets.
And I think that there is an aspect of our culture, not just ours, but kind of globally, where we're sort of really going to the intellect, right? So we're sort of really looking at things from a perspective of, have I experienced it directly? Can I experience it directly? And if not, then we're sort of, we don't believe so much in spirits anymore or whatever. I was recently talking to a coworker who grew up in the islands, and he was saying that on the islands they actively talked about seeing spirits. Like, oh, I saw a spirit last night, and they would talk about like at the bus stop or whatever. It was like part of their culture. And I think that used to be maybe more part of our culture too, because when my mother was alive, we would sort of, I don't know, there was like little things that people would talk about. Oh, somebody came and visited me through the bird or whatever it was. And I think that's becoming less and less. And I think it's because unless we can actually hold it in our hands and sort of analyze it scientifically, somehow we don't have, it doesn't seem real enough to us.
Yeah, and I think that it's the product of our industrial, digital society of the North. But you have to remember that the industrial world is a very small part of the world. We are thinking as the United States, Europe, Canada, as the world, but the rest of population, South America, Australia, and Asia, Africa, they all live in that reality. Now, you can say that part of our great success is by eliminating this world. But what we are creating is emptiness. And the biggest movement now, in the spiritual movement in the United States now, is the people wants to go back to the practice of shamanism. And that's why they buy books. They see there's so many movies with that.
And so how did you find that your experiences and your journey, your shamanic journey, how has that sort of influenced your life? How is that, do you feel, so I think you've been practicing about 20 years.
Yeah.
So how do you, if you can look back 20 years ago, what your life was like, or how your experience of life was, how is that different 20 years later?
It's remarkably different to me. I feel like I helped so many people in their life. Individually and as a community. We have the New York Shamanic Circle. With all our activities, we build a community of more than 2,000 people in the biggest industrial, digital, capitalist capital of the world, right here. And we gave home, we gave community, which is one of the things that is so missing in our modern world, is that people don't have families. They don't have a place where they can call home. They can share their feelings. People are pretty much alone here. So in last 20 years, there wasn't any like that. And now many of the people who came to our groups, or my students, they have their own organizations, they have their own circles, they have their own teachings, they become full-fledged shamanic practitioners. It's a wonderful thing to see. And there are so many activities in shamanic activities now than more than 20 years ago, which was not very many. And for me, it's just really pleasure to, and duty in many ways, to have people meet their spirit and to rebalance their life.
And you feel like so through like doing a shamanic journey, through doing a shamanic journey, and I don't mean sort of what I've been joking is sort of your path, but like doing that sort of like visualized or imagined sort of journey, you feel like people can sort of solidify their life a little bit better, or
yes,
or
but
maybe...
the shamanic journey is only the technique. Is only one part. There is the rituals, the ceremonies, the healing part of being in a community, the touch, the feeling, the being around the fire, telling stories. All of that is reunite all the human faculties together to create balance. I think that what we're missing here in the bigger city in the world is that connection, and our ability to connect to other people, to our spirit dreams, and to share it with people without fear. I mean, when you're talking about that person from the islands where he wake up in the morning and share the visions that he saw, there are many people like that in the Amazon. They wake up in the morning, they share their dreams, the night dreams. They talk about the dreams, what the symbols mean to them, and then they decide what they're going to do. If they're going to catch fish, or they're going to go hunting, or if they want to do a celebration or rituals. So there.
Do you do that at all? Does that incorporate
I do in
my
family. We share the dreams every breakfast.
And do you? I mean, I know that in our modern life we're sort of a little bit more scheduled, you know. But do you allow that to sort of come into your decisions about what to do in a day or not? I mean,
I think about them a lot, yeah, and I really pay attention to them. So if there is a theme in these dreams, and I share it in the morning, I understand that this is what the anxiety that I have about certain things, or this is the vision I see. Or if I had a dream about my sister, I would give her a call and ask her if that what I experienced for her is true. Most of the time, it's true. So it maybe it's I'm not going to that street or that street, but I think that as a journey, I think that it is, and that I think that is so important.
Yeah, and I wonder, you know, I think about like in terms of if you're relating back to your dreams, and I think this, I hope this isn't offensive, but like I think when we go to tarot card readers or anything like that, you know, they say 3,000 things in a tarot reading, you know, and we key into what's meaningful to us, and I wonder if that's not also what's happening with the dreams, not to diminish any sort of. Anyway, not to take away from your philosophy on dreams, but I wonder if we just don't start to, it isn't a mechanism for us to key into what's important to us that maybe we're sort of pushing away or ignoring or whatever.
It could be. It definitely could be. I mean, nobody knows what the dreams are.
Yes, they don't.
Nobody know. I mean, with all our science, we don't know.
We don't know, and then all the animals dream too, and so then
Animals
we really
dream.
don't know what it is, right?
Exactly. So we don't really know. It's consciousness. It's a communication from spirit. Now you can dismiss the communication, or you can listen to that. That's. It gives you permission to listen deeper to who you are, and what spirit are telling you. I think all of those visions that I tell in this book, at the end I'm teaching the techniques of how to do, and like shape-shifting or past life experiences and holograms and seeing and the candle reading. All of that is really help you to pay attention, to make it meaningful to your life, and you know the three key principles of shamanism is balance yourself, balance your family and community, and balance the world. The whole idea of shamanism is to bring you back and the world back into balance. Because when the world is balanced, everybody is balanced and happy and in harmony. We created a society here that is very advanced, very logical, and totally out of balance. And shamanism, in my opinion, is a way, it's a ticket for us to go back into balance. And I want to go back to the Andes and the Mayan prophecies that a new era began in 1993, which is like 500 years after the fall of the Inca Empire, when the Spaniard came to South America and wiped out that kingdom, that a new period came now, and this is exactly what the prophecy said, that the eagle of the south, which is representing the heart, the more environmental, will be flying in the same sky as the eagle of the north, which is representing the mind, the builder, the industrial world of what we call the West. So both of those. So we need our mind. It's not like we don't need the mind, but we also need to work from our heart to create balance. You can call it in a different way. You can call it that what's missing is the masculine and the feminine energies to work together. We can't have a logical, warlike corporate machine with no heart. And we are now in a great opportunity, great time and opportunity to bring these two things together. And the only way we can do that, in my opinion, is to open our heart and to listen, to see, to pay attention to the visions that we have, our intuition that lead us into a more livable world.
And so we haven't really talked about the specifics of your practice so much, but how did you find that, like, how did you sort of get onto this path? Like, how did you start to incorporate these dreams? I mean, like, how did that manifest? Because you said that you started out very skeptical.
I'm very skeptical. I'm still skeptical.
Yeah.
I mean, if you read these stories, you know, I am in awe with every experience that I experience. I still not taking them for granted. I said, how can that be? How did I know? You know, and I think that part in every indigenous society, they are still in awe with the greatness of the oneness, the magic of the universe.
Yes.
The great spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So the mystery, you become so in tune to the mystery, to the rain, to the sounds, to the earthquakes, to everything that you're experiencing, but you understand that this is all part of the big mystery, or the great mystery.
Yeah. If you know, sometimes I have a meditation practice in the Buddhist tradition, and then I also read a bit of like science-y related to spirituality kind of stuff. And a lot of people who are sort of meditators in a different tradition or whatever, they all kind of come back to the same point, which is there's sort of intellectual people who sort of move beyond that and go, you sort of end up putting your hands up in the air and go, I don't really know. There is something else out there. There is another element out there that we don't really quite aren't able to touch with. But unfortunately, we're out of time again, and it goes so fast. And but it was really a pleasure to have you on the show. And I have read your book, and I love your book. And I can't.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah.
I can't say enough about it, but I know we will be meeting again in the future. I mean, you know, it's a small town.
And I'd like you very much to invite people to come to the New York Shamanic Circle to experience it. We can talk about shamanism as much as we want, but you really have to experience it. It's like trying to describe ice cream.
Yeah.
You got to taste it to know how good it is.
Yeah, and I have to speak to your circle. I have visited, and it's very easy. Like
Yeah.
there's no stress involved in it, and there's no, I don't know. It's a very easy community to just sort of fall into and
Yeah.
show up, and it's great.
Because we really try to honor all tradition, all
Yeah.
every person bring his own energy, his own teachings, and we respect it all. We don't have one dogma that fits it all. That's part of shamanism.
Yeah. So thank you so much for
You're very
coming, and I will
welcome.
see you again sometime.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.